Good morning, everyone. This is Jim Clark here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary in Central Virginia to share another contemplative focus with you. And the topic of discussion today is, well, I wouldn't say discussion, the topic of my presentation today is One Love, Seducing Itself, Drunk on Its Own Nectar. So, speaking about love in its purest sense is source. It is life. Everything that is love. It's the same love. Love is consciousness. Love is life. Therefore, our true nature is love. We are love. We live love, and we are fulfilled in love. And that's all there is. Love experiencing itself is relative reality. That's what all this is about. When relative reality is balanced and whole, we experience unconditional love. When it's imbalanced and fragmented, love is conditional, and this is what most human beings experience today. It was once said that when God's love exploded, the universe was created. So it's everything that's going on here is just a pulsation of love. It doesn't look that way to our eyes in these days with our media and our internet and our constant exposure to the fragmented representation and commentary on life on Earth, the human experience. But, excuse me, in spite of that particular perspective that we are all experiencing day to day whenever we tune into the media, the real experience of life, the true experience of life, your life and my life, any life of a human being, is either fragmented and fear-based, as the media expresses, or it's balanced and whole, and there we experience ourselves as the one that is all in everything. And so there is no another human being in a body. In your awareness is the same source consciousness that you are, and you have the experience, not that ideation, but the experience of that connection. There is no separation. But in order to have that experience, one must be balanced and whole. And this is what meditation and a holistic lifestyle is all about. This is why human beings have endured and practiced the strictures and the demands of a meditation lifestyle, which was very rigorous in the old days, thousands of years ago. There was no technology like we have at Synchronicity today. So it was all something that you had to do with yoga, which means unity. And it's the practice of getting yourself in alignment with yourself in such a way that your subtle dimensions and your denser dimensions, your body, are all connected and working as one. And once that happens, once you manage to bring that much balance to your own self as a human being, then the doorway opens and the experience of unity consciousness is yours. This can take lifetimes to achieve. So it's not something that's, shall we say, fast, although people can have many experiences along the way where they touch upon that unity consciousness, and those are messages that tell us that what we're doing is working. When I first began to meditate, it was after I had a awakening experience, so it was simply that when I came into this lifetime, I obviously had other lifetimes where I developed myself to a point where I was ready to have that spontaneous experience. Other people have different kinds of ways where they're first introduced to meditation and begin to experience some of its benefits. And so it's a very popular, vogue uh, thing today, whereas once it was like a taboo to even mention the word meditation was taboo. So we go through different cycles over different periods of time in our history as human beings, where our beliefs, when we have beliefs and blind beliefs, I would rather say, where we are not whole, where we are fragmented, and where we are fear-based. So our beliefs are our only anchor. It's a false anchor. It doesn't really work, but we still hold on to it to have some sense of security and some sense that we belong, which is kind of silly, really, because if you're here, you definitely belong. And so it's just that the difference between being aware and unaware, huh? And that awareness that I'm pointing to here with words is an awareness that comes with your own presence as source. This is what has happened in my practice in this lifetime, is to feel my own presence, and when that presence is palpable and operative, which is all the time now, then my unity consciousness experience is much more than it was before. It doesn't mean that my journey is over. It doesn't mean that I'm an enlightened being in any final sense. This is a evolution, a spiritual evolution that everybody is going through, no matter where their feet are or where they are at this moment. They're still the same consciousness that I am and the same consciousness that you are, and they're developing themselves as best they can. The life that they're living, irregardless of how it may look from the outside, is exactly the life that they needed to have to continue their journey towards fulfillment and oneness. So this is why media and so forth doesn't interest me much anymore. It's more of a entertainment than it is a reality that I must engage in and run my mind around and so forth and so on. It's all these perceptions that are illusory. There may be some truth to some of them, but by and large, it's all just a big show. And consciousness, however, is what's running the show, and in my understanding. So whatever's happening is meant to be happening, and so be it. Hallelujah. So one love, seducing itself, drunk on its own nectar, is the experience that's happening. Now, whatever perception you have that is something other than that is a marker of where your feet are, and whatever that means to you, how that comes across, it's very appropriate and it's perfectly all right because it's happening. We're all moving towards the recognition of ourselves as the one source consciousness that is all and everything. That's all we're doing here on planet Earth. And to live outside of that understanding is to live in a fear-based world where your mind is running constantly and it's entertaining thoughts of doubt and fear and so forth and so on. And on the one hand, on the other hand, it can also be fully engaged in the pursuit of understanding what's going on, which is kind of a very impossible kind of a thing to do outside. Unless you're unified in yourself, you cannot have the direct experience of unification of the one source consciousness that you are and all and everything is. And when you have that experience, you understand. But with outside that experience, however, you have conceptual understanding, which is limited just because it's conceptual. You don't have the actual experience of it. So you look to outside sources for proof and for validation, which is a never-ending process, and there's always arguments to it about it because the participants in any pursuit like that vary in terms of where their feet are. if they're not substantiated in oneness at some level, then none of that will be very believable to them. So it's just an ongoing show that human beings have been going through since day one and still going through it. And it's the process. That's all it is. It's a cathartic process of journeying the journey of who you're not, which is an isolated human being, separate from all other human beings, and in competition for life. Whereas the balance and wholeness that you can achieve in yourself and experience that oneness directly, that's the experience where there is unity consciousness and where there is no separation. There's nothing to compete over, because everybody has access to anything they need or want, always, because they are what everything is. How can you need something if there's nothing separate from you? Huh? It's like that old saying, what do you give to someone who already has everything? Not much. So recognition, that's all you can give. And this is what I did to my teacher, because I recognized from my experiences with him that his state was one of unity consciousness to a degree far above anything that I have experienced myself on an ongoing day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis. So when you meet someone like that, if you're fortunate enough to do that, stay with them, stay around them, because their very presence is a meditation. Their energy field entrains you to the same state that that such a person is in. And this is why people hang around gurus, hang around mystics, because it's not because of what they say, it's because of the experience you have in their presence. And as you develop your own presence, your sourceful presence, that entrainment is with you as well, because that's what it is. The presence of oneness is a meditation that simply cannot be beat. So if you want to meditate all the time, if you want to accelerate your journey towards unity consciousness, just keep meditating and keep processing as you must. As we know, the fivefold process as meditators, whatever peak experience you have and anything that you have inside you data-wise, belief-wise, that's not congruent with that experience must be released. And this is a process that meditators understand, but a lot of people who think they're meditating, but they're just beginning to try to meditate, don't understand and have great difficulty with, because the love, light, and delight that they think is an instant process, which is not, is a journey of getting rid of the beliefs that keep you separate in relation to the experiences of oneness that you have. And if you don't generate any experience of oneness in any form or shape or form, then you're not really getting to where you need to go. And this is something that we experienced here at Synchronicity Foundation. For my 30 years plus here, it's been just that. A very focused, concentrated lifestyle that does nothing but meditate, meditate, and meditate. And the benefits of that can never be seen from the outside, but I certainly am aware of them in myself, as my other friends here during the journey with me feel in themselves. And that's why we do what we do. It's not a crazy thing. It's a thing that's like any other human pursuit. If you do what you love, you do that, and you do it, you put your whole self into it. And when you experience the beginnings of oneness in yourself, the draw to to keep going is stronger than anything else in your life. You've experienced other forms of love, conditional love in your life, and under the influence of separation, where it's all momentary at best, but doomed to change. But when you get close to your own, when you develop your own presence, and when you have that day-to-day, moment-to-moment experience of, yes, I am one, that's not something that you ever want to give up, because there's nothing that you've experienced before that's that good. It's that simple. You finally found the right lifestyle to bring you to the fulfillment of yourself as one source consciousness, seducing itself, being drunk on your own nectar. So really, that's what it's all about, and that's what this contemplation is all about. It's there to give you a focus of not only what is possible, but what is inevitable if you bring balance and wholeness to yourself through the practice and art of meditation. So that's what I wanted to share with you this Monday morning, and I hope it was some benefit. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be back again next Monday with another contemplation for you. And until then, I will continue myself to generate the oneness as much as I can within myself. Thank you so much for watching.